The Big 12 Week 10 Power Rankings edition on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with that promo code TCESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. That is the Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM today. Welcome, everybody, in to the Big 12 College Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Wednesday night, October the 30th. God damn, Troy, October is already done, which means we got November football on the horizon, the chase towards Dallas in the Big 12. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the playoff picture as well in terms of the Big 12. But first off, I have Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. And I already teased it out, this other guy, he's always fighting a family civil war, whether it's in Stillwater, Waco, Fort Worth, all the way east to Orlando, up to Cincinnati, out west of Tucson. He is the Big 12 guru, a.k.a. the green moment we grow in, Troy Chewning. What is going on, my friend?
I would have made, first of all, shout out to the two Yankee fans. They kick ass. Anyone that says any difference, a loser. Nothing was changed. The outcome of the game wasn't affected. Mookie Betts didn't get hurt. We can look back and all laugh at it. But on that note, with the Rangers in town playing the Capitals last night, my exit this way chant led to 5 consecutive middle fingers from Ranger fans. So I was feeling pretty good in my fan zone last night at Capital One Arena.
I would expect nothing the less. Yankees down 3-1. We'll see if they can extend it. I hope the Yankees at least win tonight. At least give us another game, you know?
They need to do the only way to exercise the Red Sox from 2004 is to have their own 3-0 comeback.
Against Dave Roberts, who ironically
against Dave Roberts.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then they would have to put the two brothers on like the first bus in the World Series parade. They'd have to have them up there like beating the shit out of Mookie's glove.
Too bad Aaron Boone's managing the Yankees, so that won't happen. But Troy, Week 9 in the books, Big 12. We have 2 remaining unbeatens at the top. BYU and Iowa State remain in the driver's seat to get to Dallas, and not only Dallas, but to get to the college football playoff, as much as people want to knock them for their strength of schedule or whatever made-up metric they're going along for their own narrative. K-State and Colorado both at 4-1. K-State has the tiebreaker over Colorado because of a head-to-head in Boulder a couple weeks ago. Then you got a clump of 3-2 teams, TCU, Tech, Cincinnati, and, of course, West Virginia. Arizona State at 2-2 coming in here. Then you got 2 teams that are playing better recently, Baylor and Houston at 2-3. You got a clump of 1-4s at Arizona, UCF, Kansas, and Utah. Yes, Utah's 1-4. And then Oklahoma State 0-5. So, yes, Kyle Whittingham and Mike Gundy are a combined 1-9 in Big 12 games, and the only win was against each other. Troy, what do you make of this? And just your thoughts on the Week 9.
Well, this is kind of what we kind of knew not to expect really too much here in the Big 12, but the truck stop conference has certainly come through when it comes to, like, you know, one week you stop at the 7-Eleven and the hot dogs on the roller grill are fucking awesome. Like, they're crispy on the outside. They're nice and warm. The next week you stop by, they've been sitting there for 8 hours. They've gone stale, and you just never know. It's just it's a typical Big 12. I think we'll probably see it a lot in basketball too, but it seems like the parity that everybody else is talking about nationwide. That parity already kind of existed in the Big 12 for a few years. So then even adding to the fire, the ability to, recruit deeper teams outside of those top of the league names, it's pretty much just turned the Big 12 into a shit show. I mean, just going down the whole list of the standings here, and there's only 4 or 5 teams that have scored more points than they've allowed. 6 teams, maybe. Like even Texas Tech has given up more points than they've scored. Baylor is a point away from crossing over that barrier. Houston's 2-3 in the league, and they've got 61 points scored for and 129 allowed in league play. And that's still a whole win more than Gundy and Whittingham combined. So, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, I know we kind of have our top area has pretty much narrowed itself down, but some of these teams that are going to be competing for that bowl spot, it's going to get kind of wiry here. I mean,
yeah.
I look at your team and Baylor, both at 4-4 there's a solid chance to salvage the season. I don't know if I want to say completely save, but at least, save face, I guess.
Yep.
They both have a shot. Again, you just don't know which week you're going to come in and the taquitos are 8 hours old or they're fresh out the microwave,
It's a good way of putting it. What would you say? We're down to 4 teams for college football playoff aspirations. Of course, BYU and Iowa State both undefeated. K-State is 7-1. Their schedule is pretty freaking favorable outside of Farmageddon down the stretch. Colorado, all of a sudden, that schedule's favorable. They do need some help, though. They need Iowa State and BYU to lose a game. K-State controls their own destiny because they play Iowa State head-to-head. Colorado needs a lot of help. I mean, I don't think any of the 3-2 teams are going to get in just because I don't think BYU and Iowa State are both going to lose 2 games out of their last 4. I don't know. What's your thoughts? So you think we're just down to those 4 teams, BYU, Iowa State, K-State, and Colorado?
I mean, when it comes to college football playoffs, the only reason why I wouldn't say 3 teams is because that 4th is Colorado. I know I've hinted at that a few times the last couple of weeks as I've kind of been swayed, riding shotgun on the Buffalo now. Now there's 2 men on the Buffalo, me being one of them. Started off the season not wanting to be on the Buffalo, but now I'm just another guy on a Buffalo. And it seems as if that's the first time in a while that the Big 12 has had a program where they would get a slight advantage for the name and the media rights. I just can't quite put my finger on it. But it is weird to have a team in the Big 12 that you could look at and be like, I don't care that they're a 2-loss team that's not as good as somebody else that would get put in because it's Deion, because it's Colorado. And I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but what I can tell you is that if they have any chance of getting Deion in that 12-team playoff, they're gonna do their best to try to get him there. So for that reasoning, yeah, I think it's got to be 4 teams. I don't see that. I mean, just for an example on my power rankings before we get into it, that group of, Tech, Cincinnati, Arizona State, TCU, I don't see those as anywhere near college football playoff teams, which is why I am kind of hesitant to say that Colorado is that 4th team. Feels like Gundy's going to get him in the last week and ruin everything for him. But like I thought all year long it was the other way around. Deion was going to ruin everything for Oklahoma State, but how the turntables, how the turntables.
No doubt. Yeah, it's really fascinating. The fact that Whittingham and Gundy are combined 1-9. I mean, nobody had that, including us. I will gladly eat shit on my Gundy pick and Whittingham picks. I wouldn't change anything. They've sucked. Utah and Oklahoma State have sucked. But hey. It's that's why you play the games. This league is as entertaining, and parity is at an all-time high. I'll tell you what else is at an all-time high. That is the college experience, baby. And help us help you. Get on over there. Even if you hate my guts, even if you're a Colorado Buffalo fan, you say, or a Pitt fan, you say, hey, that guy's always hating on our team. Well, say that Moneyline Mac guy, he's an asshole. But do so in the comments and leave a 5-star review. So that would really help us continue to grow this show, take it to the next level, bring more and more content to you, the viewer. Help us help you, as I like to say, and do your part and prevent corporate gambling from taking over. And we are also brought to you by our favorite sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Troy has been killing Underdog all year. Well, Troy has been killing it with his Underdog, not killing Underdog, all year long with college football, week in and week out. Troy, I know you dip your toes in the NHL as well, as you're a diehard Caps fan and you're a diehard Nats fan, just like myself. But what do you got queued up tonight for a little NHL action on a Wednesday night?
We got a Colorado and Tampa Bay matchup that
okay.
I did my small time in actual broadcast communications with the Tampa Bay Lightning for a little while, but the official side is long gone, and now we just take Underdog and give out some picks for hockey games. But I actually got the overlay for today, so we've got these 4 picks for Underdog here. We're going higher on a Kucherov goal and higher on a Nate McKinnon goal. And then we're going to go higher on Cale Makar at 1.5 and higher on Braden Point at 0.5 point. And that pays out just over 7.5x.
I like it. And you even got it on the screen there. You got the little cursor. How do you get your phone to do that, by the way?
You got to have an Android, and you got to be a loser that uses I downloaded Comic Sans, so I feel like Colby here. I can tell you a story. I had my phone stolen and returned to me because the guy didn't like the font that was on my phone.
That's hilarious, because whenever you will text Rush and I like a random bet slip, I'm like, well, how the fuck does he get his little cursor, like his wording like that, the font? So get on over there, get an Android, and use our promo code TCESGPN with that entry today. That is the Underdog Fantasy, and that is promo code right above my head, TCESGPN. All right, Troy. We talked about the playoff. We went on our BYU rant. Clearly, they did not hear us because they ranked Notre Dame ahead of BYU in the poll, AP poll, the biggest sham of a poll of all time. The fact that BYU is behind Notre Dame. It's almost like Northern Illinois didn't happen, or Iowa State. I mean, Iowa State's behind them, even though they're undefeated and won in Iowa City. But hey, the college football playoff is debuting next week, the night of the presidential election. So mark your calendars accordingly. Troy, let's get into our tiers. We love to shit on this tier 4. And what do we want to name this tier 4? Fighting their ass off for a bowl appearance, I think.
Do we really think so? I mean,
some of them are.
Some of them are, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, I guess the tier would be like
dumpster.
A bowl appearance that's your ceiling now. Like the best you can do is just possibly make it to the bowling alley to throw a gutter ball or something like that. But like maybe you get in the doors. I don't know, the basement, the poop chute, not the greatest area to be. We're going to start off with Oklahoma State in last place. They moved down. Houston got a win last week. Oklahoma State did not. Oklahoma State did not cover. We got ripped off on one of the final plays of the game there, and Baylor was able to win by 10. But again, you've got an Oklahoma State team here that is the only 0-5 team in conference play. So they have to go to the bottom, right? Like this just – and it's, some of the games they've looked kind of poor. Some of the games they've looked okay. I can't say that they've had like 4 weeks in a row where they just look absolute dog shit, but they find a way to be. The lack of tackling obviously has been the issue for Oklahoma State for a while, but it just seems to be a little more glaring this year. I've got UCF at 15.
They suck.
They're not good.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm going to put Arizona at 14 and Utah at 13, but I don't know. Arizona beat them, but they both just don't really look that great. Yeah. But yeah, I guess I'll keep it to those 4 because I kind of want, some of these teams that are up above those 4, that Utah, Arizona, UCF, Oklahoma State, I think they've actually shown some flashes of being an okay football team. Whereas it's been a few weeks for those guys that are down at the bottom. They've gotten into the doldrums of the year. And I mean, I'm surprised to see Oklahoma State still competing the way they are. It's
embarrassing.
Yeah. It's almost worse than just giving up. Like, at least if you completely gave up, you'd have an excuse of like, yeah, we didn't even try. Now it's like they still are kind of trying. Maybe they just aren't that good. Yeah, it's hard to explain. It's been a while since we've seen a season like this from Gundy.
Dude, it's the worst year since like his first year. I'm with you. I got to put Oklahoma State dead. I got 4 teams, and like you said, their ceiling is, I'll call this, their ceiling is go bowling. But it just looks like they've quit on the year, and they look like they're trending into a dumpster fire this last month. Oklahoma State has got to be last year. 0-5. They lost 5 in a row. They can't stop a nosebleed, yet alone a fucking rushing attack. They're awful defensively. 15. I can't believe I'm saying it. Utah's terrible. Utah can't move the ball. Their defense is worn out because their offense is so bad. I can't believe how bad Whittingham's team is this year, even with Rising going down. Last year when Rising went down, they still won 8 games. For them to be fighting for a bowl appearance at 4-4 is mind-blowing to me that we thought they were a front runner. I mean, because we talked about it. Rising being hurt always was a possibility, unless you're just a diehard Homer Utes fan. But, I mean, Oklahoma State, Utah in the bottom for me. Next up, Arizona. I got eyes on them this weekend. They're terrible, dude. They don't play complimentary football. They don't stop to run. Bad year for them in their inaugural year in the Big 12. They had 2 really good players, and the rest of the roster sucks, in my opinion. Fafita and McMillan are good. 13, UCF. They can't decide who's played quarterback. Malzahn seems to have lost the team a little bit. They lost 5 in a row. They really haven't beaten anybody when you really dig deep at their schedule. Their best win, Sam Houston State. UCF's a dumpster. So those 4 are my bottom tier. If they turn it around, they can get to a bowl game. But most likely, they've quit on the year. Troy, out of those 4, which one do you think is most likely to get to a bowl?
Well, I mean, Utah's got 4 wins. But I was going to bring up, does the coach in waiting for Utah make a lot more sense now?
Yeah,
we thought that they were ahead by a few years, but they might have been right on fucking time getting that coach in waiting out there.
It's crazy. I can't believe how bad they are. Like I said, even with Rising going down, they still won 8 games last year. They still played really good defense. They're not doing anything this year. Do you think Whittingham shuts down at the end of the year? Does he go out like this?
I don't know if he wants to go out like this, but again, in today's day and age of college football, I don't know if you get that opportunity. The money-making machine does not like to see 1 year of not, increasing profits. There's a shot we lose both Whittingham and Gundy in a year where they combine for 7, 8 wins. They combine for 9 total wins and 2 or 3 conference wins between the two.
So what's hilarious, Troy? You really dig deep at these teams that have come into the league in the last 2 years. BYU missed a bowl last year. Cincinnati missed a bowl last year. Houston missed a bowl last year, and UCF barely got
Colorado
to a bowl.
missed a bowl, right? Colorado also missed. Well, you're talking about the year before.
Yeah. So those 4 struggled last year. This year, Utah, a historic program, having a god-awful year. Arizona they won 10 games last year. They're struggling. Arizona State's actually overachieved, I think. They've been competitive. The only one that's exceeded expectations, ironically, coming into the league from where they were, is Colorado. So basically, unless you have 2 top 5 picks in the draft, that's been the only recipe to have immediate success in the Big 12 with Shedeur and Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, we thought that Fafita and Tad McMillan would. We knew that they were kind of a flawed team, but we thought that they would accomplish probably a little bit more than being at that 1-4 in league play mark. I wouldn't have been surprised if you told me they were 2-3 or 3-2 or something like that, and they hadn't accomplished, or their goals were a little bit higher than we thought originally. But yeah, you know what's crazy to think is that Shedeur is probably the best pro prospect in college football.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I thought he got.
I mean, we
better.
love Cam. I like Cam Ward, but
yeah, yeah, I would say that it's so. I'm with you. He's proven the most from the sample size. We thought what Colorado is what we thought Arizona could be, but they have not been translating. So, all right, tier 3.
All right, tier 3. This can be called the congratulations. You're better than Gundy and Whittingham's teams this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a tier that, you know, I have rewarded some teams that might be about the caliber of some of those teams in the bottom tier that we said, but they are playing harder and therefore they're more fun to watch and I like them better. So I've got Houston here. Kind of like we thought as the year goes on, Houston's been slowly, steadily improving. And, you know, we thought that Willie Fritz would have them playing a little bit better by the end of the year, but I don't know if anybody at the beginning of this season would have taken them over Utah. Like if you would have given that option to every Big 12 rider, I bet you it would have been like the 28 riders all chose Utah. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, we've got Houston there. I've got TCU kind of low, I guess, for how they've played. I just see them as more like TCU now reminds me of what Texas Tech was. Like they're just going to try to outscore you. And sometimes that's going to be flawed. And the team that you get matched up with is going to beat you. And sometimes you're just going to be able to, you know, move the ball better than the other team you're playing. And it's going to work out and you're going to steal yourself some wins. I did like the fake Josh Hoover kicked off the team. He had under a 2.0 GPA.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, it's the white Derrick Rose. But I saw that. I don't know how many people saw any of my retweets and whatnot, but that was definitely a false report. Like there's nothing out there about him actually getting kicked off the team. It's like the NBA Centel instead of Central whenever you see the little name. I've got Kansas up above TCU. So I guess that's what Kansas at 10. Yeah, Kansas at 10, TCU at 11, Houston at 12. And I've got Baylor at 9. We pay players.
Dude, Baylor's sneaking up on them.
I wanted to bring this up. So I know I messaged you. Sawyer Robertson is from Lubbock. Is there a shot that we see Sawyer Robertson transfer to a pretty big name school after he's played this well for Baylor?
Potentially, man. I like what I've seen from Baylor dude. The Blue Bonnets got a little juice to it this weekend. Both teams playing well. Baylor 4-4, TCU 5-3. TCU's quietly 5-3, even though I don't know how good they really are. They're good offensively. But yeah, tier 3 for me, Troy. I'll call this. They're fighting for their coach. They're headed in the right direction. They have not quit. Kansas. Leipold, man, I can't believe that they just keep finding ways to lose these games. 2-6 on the year, but they arguably could be the greatest 2-6 college football team ever. They have 6 one-score losses, lose a heartbreaker in the Sunflower Showdown. At 11, I got Houston. Willie Fritz is getting those guys better each and every week. Defensively, they're really freaking good. They shut down Utah. They shut down TCU, that offense that I'm talking about. They've been really good. If they can get their offense to provide a little bit of consistency, they might be able to get bowling here in the first year, being at 3-5 coming down the stretch. And then at number 10, my final team in this tier, I don't know how good they are. They protect home field. They beat the bad teams. Arizona State. I think Arizona State's been a great story. I don't know how good they really are, but I think Dillingham's done a great job. So number 10 for me. And then I got a clump of I got 6 teams in my tier 2. So I'll let you kick it off with your tier 2 here.
My tier 2 is we're starting off with our number 8 spot. That is right down the middle. That is the Humpty Dumpty wall. There has been a team that has been sitting on the Humpty Dumpty wall all year long. The West Virginia Mountaineers. Neal Brown hasn't fallen off the wall yet. The egg hasn't fully cracked. They have a shot at a bowl. They could,
Yay.
They could win 6 games and convince everybody that their schedule was really hard, and they would have won 8 or 9 if it was last year's schedule again, which is okay, I think. Obviously, there's not too much to look forward to. I don't know if Neal Brown's going to be around next year, so I would just think that maybe getting to a bowl would be fun for the fans and nothing else. Like you take nothing else from it other than we get to watch one more game and put on our WU gear for one last time before we're fully into basketball by that time. But yeah, WU at 8 at Humpty Dumpty. I don't think, no matter what happens for the rest of the year, I think I'm just going to power rank them at 8. Like if they lose every game, they're just going to end the year at 8. If they could win out, they're ending the year at 8. They're just, this is your Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy team right here is Neal Brown and Garrett Green. 7, I've got Arizona State. Again, pretty good story. I have them a little bit higher than you, but I'm still kind of trying to learn about this team. Obviously, Levitt getting hurt kind of set them back a bit, but I do think that they could, maybe get a solid, fun bowl matchup and have guys that want to play instead of opt out and maybe look good for the Big 12. 6 is Cincinnati. Still kind of don't know about them. I mean, they can run the ball. They can control the pace of the game at least. But you can tell that there's a little bit of something missing from Cincinnati when being compared to that top tier. And then 5, I have Texas Tech, the ultimate gatekeeper. Not going to quite make it to the top tier, but if you want to make it to the top tier, you've got to find a way to beat Texas Tech. And that kind of seems to be where they're at here, which as a program as a whole, I think Texas Tech is moving the way that this is kind of the year that we expected from them last year, right? Like we would have thought Texas Tech would have kind of performed the way that they did now.
They've shit themselves over these last 2 weeks. The Baylor TCU losses were killers, man. They should be in this with the way their schedule laid out. They should be 4-1 at least. Their schedule's been a gift so far.
Well, not beating Baylor is always going to come back to haunt you in a year like this where, I mean, just a little bit of game planning pretty much puts you in a position where you should probably be able to defeat Baylor. But, kind of mentioned is the quarterback play that we were expecting out of this league just didn't really show up. Yeah. And the guys that ended up showing up were much more like Shador and Rocco Becht and Sam Levitt. So
and Retzlaff.
Retzlaff and Sawyer Robertson and
Avery Johnson's getting better.
He seems to understand that he doesn't need to try to do it all himself, and that's the reason why you go to K-State. But he's young, he's still learning all that shit. It's just it's very determinant on quarterback play, and you get outplayed by Sawyer Robertson, you probably don't deserve to win the game. And again, nothing against him. I could see Sawyer Robertson going and being like Penn State's quarterback next year and them not taking a single step back from Drew Aller to somebody like Sawyer Robertson. I'll manage the game for you. I'm not a complete lawn chair, but I'm also not going to be able to scramble too much. And I'm going to throw the ball down the field a lot. And if it works, it looks really, really nice at the college level. And, we've seen Baylor kind of get hot recently and kind of hold Texas Tech back. But I agree. They should have at least one more league win. And Texas Tech should be pushing for like a 4th or 3rd spot in the league.
Is that all you got for tier 2?
Yeah, I've got all 4 tier 1 possible playoff guys up there together. So
okay. At number 9, I got Tech. Their defense is terrible. Blowing a 3-score lead the way they did against TCU, and then giving up 60 to Baylor. I got them down at 9. I got their 2 teams that just beat them. The Blue Bonnet combo here. TCU, I got at 8. Dude, offensively, they're really good. Shout out to Sonny Dykes. back-to-back wins after that Houston embarrassing Friday night home loss. So offensively, really good. Defensively, a lot of question marks. 7 Baylor, man. I know that they're 2-3, but keep in mind, they should have beat Colorado. If they just bat the ball down in Boulder, they're 3-2, and they're right there, man. So Baylor, Dave Aranda, I think they're a lot better than the record. They gave BYU everything they could handle. If they didn't spot them 21 points, they almost came all the way back in that game. So Baylor getting it done, back-to-back wins out of the bye week. They're fighting for Aranda. So shout out to the Baylor Bears. At number 6, the Mountaineers, all they do is beat the average of shitty teams. And when they play Iowa State and K-State, they get their ass kicked. So right there in the middle, put the Mountaineers. They got a big one with Cincinnati, who I got at 5. Cincinnati, tough one out in Boulder, tough place to play. That play to end this first half after Swordsby got stuffed on the 4th and inches, and then to give up a Hail Mary basically to Travis Hunter, unacceptable, changed the whole momentum of the game. They could have went down 3 at half, got the ball, and then it would have been a hell of a game in the second half. Instead, they gave all the momentum, and Colorado was able to create some separation. And then at number 4, I do have them in tier 2. I don't think they're in tier 1 with these other 3. Colorado. They've been way better in the trenches. They've stayed healthy in the trenches for the most part. And I think that's the best thing for them. Get a big bye week. And now we'll see if Dion and company can finish strong in November, where they're going to be expected to win now. They've kind of been a little bit of a dog, whether it was at UCF, at Arizona, who both ended up being bad teams. Who else did they beat as a dog? They beat somebody else as an underdog as well. Now they're going to be the hunted. They're going to be expected to beat guys like Gundy, Whittingham, Leipold. Let's see how they finish strong here in these last 4 games. So I got Colorado at 4 at top of tier 2. And I think all these are safe bowl teams, and probably Colorado most likely to get to 9 wins, but the rest of them between 6, 7, 8 wins. Tier 1.
Well, I have Colorado at the 4th spot here, just inside of tier 1. I do think they could finish unblemished here. I mean, Tech and Lubbock will be somewhat challenging, but that Utah and that Oklahoma State game at home in Boulder don't look nearly as scary as they did when we were going through season previews and after the first week. It doesn't, I mean, I feel like their toughest game left is at Kansas. And it's
they ended up missing BYU and Iowa State, which is nice for them.
And I don't know. I would assume that Colorado at Kansas is probably at Arrowhead and not the soccer field.
It's at Arrowhead. Yep.
Yeah, it's at Arrowhead. So you got to think that's a home field advantage for Colorado, right? Playing in an NFL stadium. Dion probably knows all about how you're supposed to carry yourself and what to expect in that larger venue and everything. Obviously not too many fans, but just in general, like the stadium itself. I've got K-State still at 3. Probably still going to be the team that ends up winning the Big 12. If we're going to be honest, one of these teams is going to one or both of these teams are going to slip up, and Kansas State's going to slide themselves in there, win the Big 12 championship, and maybe make the playoff. I would think with one loss they would be in there.
Win the Big 12 title, they're in. They get the auto bid.
You would think. They could also slip up again too, but
yeah,
kind of easy schedule.
True. Yeah, I mean they're already at number 17, so it's not like they're not ranked or anything. They've taken care of business outside of that one night in Provo.
I've had BYU at 2 and Iowa State at 1 for 3 weeks, and I feel like BYU is the better team of the 2, but until something changes, I'm just going to leave BYU at 2 and Iowa State at 1. I don't really want to mess with the mojo and pull a switcheroo for no reason. Again, no hate to BYU. This is just kind of how it's stayed since 4 weeks after Cyhawk and me thinking that was a pretty big win. I know I did mention after BYU beat SMU that might be a bigger win than we wanted to give it credit for. Well, now it certainly is. The fact that Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, and that's going to be Well, let's do a little exercise here. If we see who BYU has left between Utah, Kansas, Arizona State, and Houston, all of those teams are better than Northern Illinois.
Oh, dude, Northern Illinois is the worst loss of any Power 5 team or Power 4 team.
By far, right?
Yeah. Dude, Northern Illinois sucks.
But if BYU loses one of these four, if BYU loses one of these 4 games, they won't even be ranked in the top. Like, they'll move them to like 19.
Well, we need to see the college football playoff rankings. The AP is always going to be super biased, but I would hope that the playoff committee, BYU's resume and Iowa State and even Kansas State are far better than Notre Dame. It's not even close. Like, yes, the Texas A&M win's great. It doesn't matter when you lost to Northern Illinois, who's 1-3 in the MAC. And then have you seen the rest of Notre Dame's schedule? It is a freaking joke. Purdue, they beat Purdue, who's arguably the worst Power 4 team in the country out of the Big Ten. They beat Miami of Ohio, another mediocre MAC team. They beat Stanford, who's horrible in the ACC. Georgia Tech, who's horrible in the ACC. Louisville, who's down in the ACC. Their ACC opponents aren't even good. Florida State sucks. They're all-time bad. Virginia sucks. USC sucks. They're average. The best team on their schedule outside of A&M's Army.
And they might get them.
Yeah, they might get him.
That's as tough as there. Navy's okay. Navy has no defense, though. That's the issue is, well, also the issue for Notre Dame when you're trying to play them as a service academy and you're going up against all that Catholic money and you play these, spread wishbone wing tee things, they're calling holding on you as a service academy all fucking game long. Anytime that they see it, they're going to call it, and it's not how it's been called all year long for your team. So that's where it gets difficult playing Notre Dame is they've got, there's some confession money coming into the pockets of those referees out there. And obviously I think we've said it all year that Army is probably slightly better than Navy and has a better chance to get Notre Dame. But I don't think that you can give Notre Dame thumping the shit out of Navy in my mind is still not as impressive as the 38-9 BYU win over K-State.
Not even close, no doubt. Like,
it's crazy.
I can't believe that. Like, I swear they rank Navy just because they wanted to be a rank.
100%. It's the SEC trick. Like you preseason rank like A&M at 24 so that when Alabama plays them in the third week, they beat number 20 in the nation. It's crazy. I don't know. I always have a feeling that the reason why it's happening is because they're telling you straight up, we're trying to get Notre Dame in this goddamn playoff.
Well, and this also better not happen. If it's Iowa State, BYU in the championship, the loser, it doesn't count because Notre Dame does not play in a conference.
Exactly.
Why should the loser or even K-State, if they get to the Big 12 title game, that should not count against K-State if Notre Dame doesn't even play in a conference. So, yeah, there's a lot of the whole Notre Dame Ponzi scheme that they've been pulling for years and years is going to be called out this year. So, Troy, I'm with you. I got K-State at 3. I think they're the best team, but they have a loss compared to these other two teams, and I can't rank them ahead because they lost to BYU head-to-head. BYU 2 for me. They're fun, man. This defense is great. But the reason I have Iowa State at number 1 is because they had the better quarterback, Rocco Becht, Matt Campbell. They control the destiny. Can't wait for Farmageddon at the end of the year, and hopefully Iowa State takes care of business with Texas Tech coming to Ames out of the bye week. Be great to get Iowa State to the playoff because they can win. They can win a game with Rocco Becht. I think K-State can win a game with Avery Johnson.
Is there a shot? Yeah, there's definitely a shot we get back-to-back Farmageddon week, right?
We could get 3 straight Farmageddons.
We could get 3 straight
in Ireland next year.
Oh yeah, we could get. Well, what are the chances? I was going to say, what are the chances that it's like a 1-point double overtime win, and then they go to the Big 12 championship, and the other team wins in overtime, and they're like, you know what? We're just going to seed this as the first round, the 8-9 matchup in the college football playoffs. We get 4 straight Farmageddons.
That'd be great. Nothing would be better than that. We need more Farmageddon.
Doing Farmageddon in Ireland is just fucked up, though. Like, let's just go ahead and say that that's fucked.
It's stupid. Play that in Ames. Play that in Manhattan. Don't play it at that.
Play the game in Ireland. In Ireland, play the fucking go. Let Notre Dame go play.
Get Notre Dame away from me. All right, we got to
pay them to Ireland.
Yeah, we got to pay the bills because we're brought to you by Rhythm. SGPN's proud sponsor. Get on over there. Rhythm went 24-3 the other night in the NBA. How about that? That's a killer. The Rhythm's like BYU all year. So get on over there. Get down. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And we're also brought to you by BetUS. BetUS, best in the business, been around forever, 30-plus years. Easy cryptocurrency, lightning-fast payouts and all. Trick or treat, Horror Street, up till tomorrow night. Get on over there. Enter multiple times. Every 200 deposit gets one entry. I like the Yankees tonight. You know, the MLB needs some money. Get extended another game. Yankees money line over there at BetUS. Go over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know we sent you. All right, Troy, let's do rapid fire before we get out of here on a couple games. Only 5 games. 6 teams on bye. BYU and Utah the following week. Holy War, they're both on bye. W Cincinnati, the Battle of West Virginia, Ohio. Old Big East matchup. They're both on bye. Play next week. Cincinnati's laying 2.5. Perfect line for that game, 2.5. And then Colorado and Kansas both on bye as well. 3:30 game Saturday. Texas Tech at Iowa State. Troy, what's the headline you're looking at?
I'm looking at this big number and thinking Iowa State's defense has been pretty good, but if there's a chance that Texas Tech can score on a couple of the early possessions, I don't know if they'll be able to cover that 13.5. But yeah, I think the reason why you see these long numbers, I'm sure whatever you have next is probably K-State and Houston, another big spread. I think that they're expecting the cream to have risen to the top now, and they kind of see the difference between. I mean, obviously, you would think that Texas Tech is a little bit better than Houston, but you have to go to Houston versus Texas Tech coming into town to Ames. I think these big numbers. They're scary. It's the Big 12. You get comfortable at the top, and the teams that are fighting for bowls care a little bit more. I mean. I don't know.
Let's see.
I want to say that they're way better than the teams that they're matched up with, and I expect them to cover that number, but it just never seems to work out like that in this conference.
Boy, and let's see if Houston can make it back-to-back solid games. Whenever they've popped up and won as a dog, they've laid an egg the next week. So that's something I'm looking at. This game is atrocious. Troy, hey, at least this is going to be an entertaining game. I bet you this is probably the best game in terms of entertainment all day.
Yeah, I would suggest not doing any research on this game at all, and just whatever the points are, just take the points.
Fair.
It probably will be pretty entertaining. I mean, I see the over-unders at 55.5. I feel like that might be a little short for the possible lack of defense, along with the only playmakers that exist on any of these teams are R.J. Harvey and Tat McMillan and Noah Fafita.
Yeah,
I don't think Arizona can stop the run. I don't think UCF can stop the pass. I feel like we're going to see some fireworks in the stink bowl of the week.
Total stink bowl. Does Gundy get it done? I mean, come on. Arizona State can't win on the fucking road. Come on, Gundy.
Why is Arizona State laying points on the road? It's nuts.
No, Oklahoma State's like
it's Arizona State's laying 3 on the road at Oklahoma State. It's totally Arizona State -3. Oh yeah.
Oh, I typoed that.
It's totally Arizona State -3.
Oh my god, dude!
What world are we living in?
This is
what world is this?
This is an all-time low for Gundy.
If Gundy doesn't win this week, fuck Kamal's gonna win. Someone needs to tell Gundy that it's up to him to determine this election. You have to get one of these.
Oklahoma State's gonna win by 60. Then, if that's the stakes for Gundy. Dude. Speaking of 3-point spreads, the red hot TCU Horned Frogs, the red hot Baylor Bears, Blue Bonnet after dark, the final game of the night. There's no 10 o'clock games. Dude, this game.
This one's going to be good.
I like the Bears.
I think Baylor has a shot because Aranda's defensive knowledge might give them a little bit of a one-up, and their offense has been playing well. Like, my issue whenever teams play TCU is, are they going to be able to move the ball and not get themselves into a now I'm forced to stretch the field because I've gotten down points early. I don't think that's going to affect Baylor. I think Baylor kind of trusts their offense, and why not? I mean, recently we've seen the offense basically hitting on all cylinders every week. I see this at 64.5 as the total. This is fireworks, baby. This is nighttime Big 12 fireworks. This is the Big 12 in 2008 and 2009 that we love to watch, where you get to see quarterbacks throw the ball 48 times and 450 yards of offense for each team.
I'm with you, man. I think this game's going to be electric. I also, these two teams don't like each other either. Baylor and TCU.
Not really.
The Blue Bonnet's going to have some juice to it. We'll be back we'll be back Friday to dive into all 5 of these matchups. Give out our lock and dog, underdog play as well. Go check out Troy Chewning at Troy Chewning on Twitter. Giving out underdog stuff all year long. And up next will be the Ryan and Rush show. Over there, we'll be talking a little West Virginia if you want to come join us. Later tonight, the college basketball experience, 9 o'clock Eastern. Me and Noah Beanick breaking down the SoCon and American Leagues. Got 3 conferences left. Friday night, we give out our season predictions. And we got a new show that we will be announcing for college basketball coming up next week. And debuting. This guy right here might be involved. So make sure your notifications are turned on. Help us help you. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Tell your mom. Tell your cousin. Help us help you. Let's go, baby. College basketball's here. College football's rolling. Go check out the college football experience, FCS experience, all that good stuff. Main Sports Gambling Podcast. All good stuff. He's at Troy Chewning. I'm at Moneyline_Mac. We are the Big 12 College Experience. We'll see you Friday, and we are.
The SoCon sounds like the conference that BYU should have joined.